All right, y'all, what's going on? Welcome to the Saturday afternoon. I gotta get used to saying that. Saturday afternoon live stream. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. Before I get started, let me make sure I'm transmitting well, a little smoothly. All right, everything's looking good on my end. Okay. Let's get them ones up. Put the ones in the chat if y'all can hear me. All right. So basically, I'm gonna prep my meal, my upcoming meal for the day, and talk a little bit more about Fruitarian diet, right? And then I'm actually gonna open a chronometer and I'm gonna demonstrate some live meal planning on what a Fruitarian diet should look like. Let me get some sprouting jar. I need one sprouting jar. I should be able to do it. And then I need something to sprout. So let's get some green lentils. I don't know if there's 2 lids on top of that. All right. Mark, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Okay, you said the music is a little loud. All right. We can adjust that a little bit. All right, well that should be a little bit better. Oh, you said you can hardly hear me? Yeah, so but hold on a second. Now I know what the issue is. Now I know what the issue is. Hold on. It's a fight with this new There we go. All right. Is that better? Okay, now I turned it up. Okay. Now y'all should hear me a lot better now. All right, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly now. I'm still getting used to it. I got to figure out a way to do this because basically okay, that's better. Okay. So for some reason, the laptop turned down on my mic without me turning it down. I don't know what's making it do that. So like I'll turn it up and then it'll just turn back down later. I don't know what's making it do that, but that's what happened. So it used to do that on my old laptop. And now it's doing it on this new laptop. And I got to figure out how to make it stop. I don't want to have to keep fighting with the volume knobs. All right. But in any case, where is the 1/4 cup? There we go. All right. So yeah, basically I'm going to be talking about like a fruitarian diet and how to map it out. It'll give you a better understanding of how to get a full nutrient profile where you don't have any nutrient gaps in a fruitarian diet, right? Because people often think that like a fruitarian diet is like this thing where it's an extreme diet and you're gonna have deficiencies and all of these different types of things. And that's not really true, right? So I'm basically gonna demonstrate that in real time. And I'll talk about a little bit about shopping for your foods and things like that, and generally how you're supposed to do things. Well, I guess there's no one way to do things. How I do it, I'll say, right? As far as my strategy when it comes to this sort of thing. All right. So I'm just setting up my chronometer here. And I'm gonna clear this, what I had already established, because when I get on here, I'm gonna start from scratch. From scriggity scratch. All right. So basically what I'm gonna do here is, let me get my food scale out, because the food scale is really important for knowing just how much of everything you get. All right, so I got my food scale here. Food scale is pretty cheap. You can get one for like 20, 25 bucks, something like this, even for like 15 bucks. So that's my food scale right there. All right. And so typically I'll have my big bowl that I make my meal in, right? And then I'll have this smaller bowl to weigh things in. So I'll put the bowl in there, measure that out. And I'm gonna peel this grapefruit. A small grapefruit is around 8 to 9 ounces. A medium-sized grapefruit is around 11 to 12, and a large grapefruit is around 15 ounces. 15, 16 ounces, right? But I'm giving you the weight according to how much it weighs after you peel it, right? So with the peel, with the rind on, it's gonna be heavier, but you don't eat the rind, so you don't really factor that in. All right, so I'm gonna weigh it. That's why I like to peel it first and then weigh it. So for example, your average banana, your average yellow banana, when you peel it, it's 4 ounces. A large banana could be like around 7 ounces, right? But typically in a small banana would be like around 4, a little bit under that. And a medium-sized banana would be around like 5, maybe 6 ounces. And then a large banana would be around 7, maybe even 8. All right? So those are some ballpark numbers to what to expect, all right? You may see with the rind on, the cantaloupe can be like almost 4 pounds. You take the rind off and then it's like 2 pounds of actual fruit, of the cantaloupe fruit, right? Honeydews can be larger than cantaloupe. They can be like almost twice the size, right? So like a honeydew can be like like you can have a big honeydew that weighs like around 5 pounds or so. And then when you actually remove the rind, it can be like a total of like 3, maybe even 4 pounds. Right? So that's why the food scale is so important, so that you know how much of everything you're getting. And you don't have to weigh like each and every time. You can kind of eyeball it and feel it out. But that's like an intuitive skill that you develop over time. All right. All right, so I had the scale sitting idle for too long. It turned off on me. So this is like a midday meal for me. And basically this meal is gonna be like 100 grams of carbs or so. All right. So we put that in there, that 1 slice, that's 1 ounce. That's 2 ounces. That's 3, well, 2.6. Sheila, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Yeah, you're not too late to the party. You're not too late. Close enough. Close enough. I'm just talking about a little bit of meal prep. Y'all can put in your questions and whatnot too. And basically it's all about just fruitarian meal prep, like doing like a raw diet. Cause it's pretty easy to do like a fully raw diet. And when I say easy, I mean, it's easy because you don't have to like cook anything. So you don't got to worry about burning food and all of this type of stuff. You don't got to worry about over or under seasoning. You don't really have to worry about that. So yeah, you don't really necessarily have to worry about refrigerating your food either. Some things you may want to refrigerate, but for the most part, not really. You don't need to. All right. So I'm going to be talking about how to get like enough protein, how much protein is enough protein, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to be using chronometer to do it. So this grapefruit so far is let's see, 8 ounces, 9 ounces, 10 ounces, and 11 ounces, right? So medium-sized grapefruit, like what I was saying before. Right? So this is actually 11.3 ounces, right, this grapefruit. So like I was saying before, like a small grapefruit would be like around 9 ounces or something like this, maybe even 8. Medium-sized grapefruit is like around 11, 12 ounces. Large grapefruit can be like up to like 15 ounces, maybe even 16, right, if it's a large grapefruit. I'll dump that in there. Let me get my grapes. Got my big old bag of grapes. So before I move on, grapefruit is actually a good source of beta carotene, which is the substrate that your body uses to make vitamin A. A good source of vitamin C. A good source of folate. Good source of calcium. Good source of malic acid. What else? B5, B6, B1, B2, all that. So now I'm gonna put 8 ounces of grapes in here. All right, so I prefer red grapes. So if y'all follow me for long enough, y'all see that for the most part I eat red grapes. I eat green grapes sometimes, but I don't really eat green grapes much. I prefer a deeper pigmentation, at least in the grapes. You know what I mean? So that deep pigmentation, it's powerful stuff. Grapes are a really good source of vitamin K. All right, and that vitamin K is really important for like improving your gut health, right? Detoxifying your body, strengthening your immune system, that sort of thing. Really important for that. So I got my 8 ounces of grapes. And put that on top of there. And now I'm gonna get 8 ounces of tangerines. Maybe 10 ounces, we'll see. And I'm gonna pull it up on Chronometer so y'all can see right quick what the macros are for this meal and what some of the nutrients are for this. I like these little tangerines, they're easy to peel. Navel oranges are a pain in the ass to peel. Let me tell you, I'd rather peel like 1,000 hard-boiled eggs. But yeah, these little, you know, like tangerines, clementines, cuties, halos, they're much easier to deal with. All right. So now this is far. Typically your tangerine's about this size. So this is like 2 inches in diameter. So they're usually like around 4 ounces or so, 4 to 5 ounces per tangerine. And then also too, people have been asking me about like oral health or like tooth sensitivity with the fruitarian diet. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that too, because if you eat too much astringent fruit, that can wear out your tooth enamel. So like if you're eating like a lot of citrus fruit combined with like a lot of pineapple and, you know, oranges, apples, grapes, and all of that, pineapples, pears, you could potentially wear down your tooth enamel a bit too much. And so that can cause some tooth sensitivity. All right, so the bulk of your fruit intake, or at least half of it, should come from like your melons, mangoes, papaya, things that are a bit more mild, bananas, that type of thing, berries, right? Kiwis. Kiwis can cause a bit of sensitivity for some people too, so that's more of like an individual thing. It's not like a hard and fast rule for everybody. All right, so this is 9.6 ounces. All right. So basically in this bowl right now, let me go here right quick. Oh, I didn't set up the salt. Wait, yes, I did. Okay. Just give me 1 second, y'all. I just gotta make sure that y'all will be able to see my screen when it's up. All right, what window do we want to show here? All right, just give me 1 second, y'all, 1 second. All right. So the next thing I got to figure out here is what's going on with my camera on here. All right, well, let's remove that right quick. Because for some reason my presentation camera's blanked out. So we ain't about to deal with all of that. So let's take that off of there. Move this up. All right. So we got chronometer up here. So check this out, real simple. This is my lunch. So if I type in grapefruit, and I'm gonna go by ounces. So the grapefruit, what do we say it was? 11 ounces. So that's 11 ounces of grapefruit, 130 calories. And then the grapes, what do we say here? 8 ounces. And then the tangerines was what, 9.6. I don't know if I need to be too strict about that, but no, we'll just do it anyway. We'll go with it. So this right here is 432 calories, 6 grams of protein, 111 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fat. All right, that's what this meal comes out to. So if we scroll down here, look at that. Vitamin C, 197%. B6, 44%. B5, 30%. Thiamine, 37%. Riboflavin, 27%, right? So these are some of the major things you can look forward to in a meal like this. Copper, 56%. Potassium, 38%. All right. I feel like those numbers are a little low, but that's all right. Because I think basically it depends on the database that you use. Generally, I'll try to use the USDA database. But yeah, so this meal in total right here is 432 calories. For me personally, as my projected caloric burn for today, for me personally, according to my Fitbit watch, because my Fitbit watch is actually connected to my chronometer account. So it's projected for me to burn 2,532 calories today. All right. So, oops. So that's what this bowl comes out to. All right. You say you love, but I stopped myself after 4, but I can eat 10 a day. Yeah, you can't really eat too many necessarily, right? But, you know, some planning definitely does help. My man, John Green, what's going on, brother? Yeah, you find your oral health does better on fruit. Yeah, it does. It depends on what fruits you're eating. By the way, John, you know I'm in the voice chat in Discord. So if you want to jump in and get on the voice chat and ask questions, you could definitely do that as well over on the Discord. I'm in the Discord, aren't I? I'm in there, right? Yeah, I am. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to talk more about like, well, aside from that meal, what else would I eat? So you can have a cantaloupe. This would be like breakfast. This and like an ounce of Brazil nuts or pumpkin seed kernels or roasted almonds or sunflower seed kernels, something like that. Just an ounce with this right here. This is around 78, 80 grams of carbs, something like that. 300 something calories. I'll get into all of that too on Chronometer. And then this is like, let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. This is almost 32 ounces of, well, actually these are a little bit larger. So this may be like 2 pounds of bananas. So this is like a little over 200 grams of carbs. Well, I'll see, I'd have to peel them to see, but I think this is more so along the lines of 32 ounces. As a matter of fact, you could check that too. So those are some other meals, right? And then I got some mangoes and things like that as well. But yeah, so basically, these bananas are a bit large. So if I weigh them, that's 50 ounces. Yeah, so when I peel and eat all of these, this will be like around 2 pounds. So 32 ounces of bananas. All right. So if I want to eat like 16 ounces of bananas, I would eat like 4 of these, like 3 or 4 of these. All right, but I got to finish off these. These are a bit smaller. Now I have to finish off those there. And if I run out of cantaloupe or bananas or something like that, we switch to mangoes. So we got some mangoes here. So I got like I got a gang of mangoes here. Right? So, and these are getting ripened up. They were hard when I first got them. But as those ripen up, I can then switch from melons to those, or I can switch from the grapefruit and grapes and all of that to those. So I do have like my alternatives, right? And then I have a gang of pineapples there too. So I have 4 pineapples. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 cantaloupes, and then I got 1, 2, 3, 4 honeydew left. Right, and then a few pounds of grapes, and then I got apples, and see, I got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of fruits, right? So that's pretty much how I do it. I'll go, like a good strategy is to get like 4 honeydew, 4 cantaloupe. You can get like, depending on the type of mangoes you can get, you can get like 10 of them or 8 of them or something like this. And then bananas, you can get like 10 pounds of bananas. Right, for the week, or maybe even just like 6 pounds of bananas for the week, and then get like a few pounds of tangerines. So like these bags, right, you can get like 3 of these bags as well. Depends on how much. And then with the grapefruit, I got a whole bunch of grapefruit here like this, and you can get like 10 of those. So you can really load up, right? And this is going to come into play later. I'm actually going to start with this. Oh, let me see if my lady wants to open this jar. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to sprout some green lentils. And I'm going to explain why when we get into the meal prep portion. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna do a half cup. Let those sprout. And I'll sprout them over like 3 days or so. And so when these sprout, they're gonna take up like at least half the jar, if not more than that. And they grow like these little tails. And I want to talk a little bit more about how to view raw foods, right? And you'll realize that like raw food eating actually is like a really natural way of eating. And so when we're eating cooked beans and greens and legumes and things like that, it's not bad, it's not a problem, it's actually very beneficial. But these lentils right now, these are unripe foods. When you sprout them, they become ripe, right? And they become edible. So like when you sprout green lentils, you can just eat them as is. You don't have to cook them. You don't have to do anything to them. You can just eat them straight up as they are. So they soak up the water, they take on oxygen, and then they sprout and they soften up. So the nutrients inside the lentils becomes a lot more accessible in your gut. So you can pull more nutrients from them, and being that you're not cooking them, you're not breaking down the mineral contents and the, the vitamins and all that, the amino acids inside of the lentils. So you get more of the nutrients as a result of sprouting them and eating them raw. And you can pretty much do this. You can sprout any kind of legumes or whole grains, things like this, as long as they're whole, right? Basically, legumes are like seeds, basically, right? Now I'll put this here. So, check this out. I'm gonna go back.
Hey, Remsen, I also hear with the sprouting legumes, it helps get the
All right. So keeping this meal in, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna change this meal, right? But let's say we add in a breakfast. And in that breakfast, I'm gonna do the cantaloupe. And when, oh, by the way, when watermelon season comes in, then basically I could do one big watermelon and then like 3 honeydew or 3 cantaloupe, right? The whole thing, 32 ounces of cantaloupe. And then add in the Brazil nuts. And we're gonna do 1 ounce. 1 ounce is like 9 Brazil nuts or something like that. All right, so basically now in this meal here, this is 495 calories, 12 grams of protein, 77 grams of carbs, and 21 grams of fat. All right, so this is 495 calories. Yep, you see all of that. And this is like 36% of the micronutrients. So if we scroll down in Chronometer, it gives you a breakdown of the micronutrients in diet. So we got 170% of vitamin A from the beta carotene from the cantaloupe, 370% from the vitamin C. We've got 46% thiamine. Thiamine is really important for insulin sensitivity, being able to use glucose and fat for energy. Niacin. Okay, so we got 42% of niacin, which is really important for blood flow, vascular health, nerve repair, cognitive function, muscle growth, right? Yeah, muscle growth. It's actually a big driver of muscle growth as well, the niacin. Yeah, bodybuilders, one like real old school technique, bodybuilders would supplement with niacin so that they can basically optimize muscle growth and fat burn, right? So niacin would be used as a supplement. It's like a pre-workout kind of deal. And then copper, 96%. Okay. And look at that, from the Brazil nuts make up 55% of the copper. Cantaloupe is 41% of the copper. So iron, 32%, right? The selenium, look at this, selenium, 995%. You may, oh man, isn't that too much selenium? Not really, because your body tightly regulates trace minerals from foods. So it's not going to absorb like the full 100%, right? It only takes what it needs. So you can't really get vitaminosis or whatever from like whole food, plants. It doesn't really work like that. The more nutrient, your body just takes up what it needs and gets rid of the rest. Potassium, 77%. Phosphorus, 49%. Okay. Magnesium, 51%. Manganese, 31%, right? So you see here, we're kind of getting well around. Omega-3, 26%. That cantaloupe contains 26% of the omega-3 essential fatty acids. Omega-6 is coming from the Brazil nuts, right? 42%. So that's just in this one meal. Now, if we combine the two, this makes up 49% of our micronutrients. So we got this thiamine here, 83%. Vitamin B2, we got that 41%, right? Niacin, 55%. B5, 50%. B6, 96%. Folate, 71%. All right. Vitamin C, 201%. Vitamin A, 201%. Vitamin C, 567%. So we got this vitamin K here. Out of the vitamin K, the grapes make up 28% of the vitamin K. The cantaloupe makes up 19%. All right, copper, we're at 152%, and copper is really important for iron absorption, hemoglobin formation, lipolysis, which is the metabolism of fat, also reduces lipogenesis, which is the formation of new fat, right? So copper is really important for that. Energy transmission throughout your body, nerve function, copper is like really important, all right, for all of that. Magnesium, okay, 70%, iron, 51%. And this is all in just 2 meals, okay? And then the zinc, right, 3.4 milligrams, right? So 30%. So we got a little ways to go here to basically accumulate these resources, all right, as time goes on. So now in this meal, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add in 1 ounce of sunflower seed kernels. All right, because that's what I got right now. Actually, I think I have 1 ounce of almonds left. But let's say sunflower seed kernels. I'm gonna do 1 ounce of the sunflower seed kernels. So now we're at 1,089 calories. Okay. So we're at 23 grams of protein, 105 grams of carbs, 36 grams of fat. 62% of all the micronutrients targeted. So adding in those sunflower seed kernels allows me to get 91% of vitamin E. We get a little bit more vitamin K. We get a lot more of the iron. Magnesium is now at 90%, and the manganese, 78%. Right? So everything's starting to get filled out here. All right, so that's the first 2 meals of the day here. So what can a third be? Now a third meal can be something a little bit more low glycemic. I don't have kiwis here, but I wanted to show you all this, right? So for kiwis, this is a great meal right here. I'm gonna do kiwis, and let's say we do 12 ounces of kiwis, right? And then blueberries. All right, so we're gonna do blueberries. And let's say we do 6 ounces of blueberries. Okay. And then we're gonna add in strawberries. I'm gonna do 6 ounces of strawberries. And you don't have to do this every day. You only need to do this maybe like once, twice a week or something like this. So being that the berries and whatnot are expensive, you probably don't want to go too crazy on them, so you can do them like once and twice a week. Definitely worth the money. All right. And now with this here, we're gonna sprinkle onto those, we're gonna sprinkle on some hemp seeds. So we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds. All right. So that brings us up to 527 calories for that meal. 16 grams of protein, 91 grams of carbs, and 17 grams of fat. So 527 calories. That meal is now equating for 46% of the micronutrients. So now if we scroll down here, really majoring in that vitamin C. So flooding your body with that vitamin C is going to go a long way towards reducing inflammation in your body. One of the biggest selling points of a raw diet is the significant reduction in inflammation in your body. Vitamin C is like one of the most common antioxidants that you can have in your diet. Right? It's the easiest one to get, and you can get a lot of it. Vitamin C is also really important for collagen, for your body to develop collagen. So if you're losing a lot of weight, you definitely want an abundance of vitamin C to maintain the elasticity in your skin, right? To of developing excess loose skin. All right. And then vitamin K, look at this, that one meal, vitamin K, 145% of your vitamin K. And then even here, vitamin E, 41%. And vitamin E is also really important for hair, skin, nails, all that, right? Omega-3 essential fatty acids, 195%. Copper, 118%. You see how important this meal is? It's like phenomenal. Manganese, look at this, 172% of manganese. Magnesium, 71%. So this is a major like anti-inflammatory meal right here. Okay. So it's pricey, but definitely worth it. This is a very medicinal type of meal to have. All right. So now with these three meals here, this is 1,615 calories. 39 grams of protein, 285 grams of carbs, 53 grams of fat. So the macros are 8% protein, 64% carbs, and 28% fat. So this is really good for reducing inflammation in your body. Okay. Now the macros and everything like that are calculated for me, and all the micronutrients are calculated for me because this is my chronometer account. So I would need to eat more than this, even though these three meals make up 84% of my micronutrients, right? But I want to get as close to 100% as possible, ideally. But generally speaking, let's say for the ladies here who are watching, and even a lot of the guys here, maybe if you're a guy who's like 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", something like this, you don't have a whole lot of muscle mass on you, this is actually pretty good. You could do a little bit better though, right? But we'll get into that. Generally speaking, men should be trying to get like around 13 milligrams of zinc per day from your diet. And women do fine around like 8 milligrams. All right. So, and then we're going to make up this calcium too in a bit. But for the most part, look at how much look at how much ground we've gained here with this. Okay. Now you can eat all of these fruits in this third meal. You can eat all of these fruits in this third meal, just like how I have in this bowl, or you can make like a smoothie bowl with it. So if you decide to do a smoothie bowl, what you can do is you can actually do, let's say, coconut yogurt. So I'm gonna use Coco-Yo, and I'm gonna do about 6 ounces. All right. So we do the 6 ounces. Now that's 662 calories, 20 grams of protein, 103 grams of carbs, 26 grams of fat. All right, so now that's 1,751 calories, 43 grams of protein, 297 grams of carbs, 62 grams of fat. All right. The reason, the benefit of the coconut yogurt is it's really good for your gut health. So it's a really good source of probiotics, right? Beneficial gut bacteria. And then here, if we go to vitamin E, what we should see, oh, see, it's not factoring in. The coconut yogurt should also have the vitamin E. So that's not an accurate representation of the micronutrients in that. It's a little undershot, but fair enough. Okay. So if you want to improve your gut health, you want to have some fermented foods in there, that coconut yogurt, that's a good thing to add in. All right. And this meal is going to be more on the low glycemic side, right? So it's not, you're not going to get like a crazy blood sugar spike from this. Now, you have like your fruits, for example, bananas, they can cause a pretty significant blood sugar spike, but your blood sugar comes down pretty shortly after. Like within 45 minutes, you're pretty much back to baseline of your fasted blood sugar. Right, same thing with like cantaloupe. Cantaloupe, you don't get as much of a blood sugar spike as like you would with bananas. Bananas are a bit more dense. So cantaloupe, you can get a bit of a rise, but not too much, but it comes down real quick because it's mostly water anyway. Right? The kiwis, the berries and all of that, you get more of an increase like this. It won't spike straight up. It'll kind of go more in a slant this way. But it'll be more of a slow release because of the chia seeds and the coconut yogurt or the hemp seeds and whatnot. So it kind of creates a curve for you who are concerned about blood sugar, right? So we have in this diet plan so far, we've got your very water-rich, electrolyte-rich fruits here. We got your trace minerals and your Brazil nuts. We've got your astringent cleansing foods, your vitamin C, vitamin K rich foods, and your grapefruit, grapes, and tangerines, a lot of your vitamin C, and then your vitamin E and iron and copper and whatnot, and your sunflower seed kernels. And then here is where you have a lot of your antioxidants, your resveratrol, right? All of your different types of polyphenols and whatnot, antioxidants, vitamin K, vitamin C, vitamin E, omega-3, all of that type of stuff in this meal. All right. So there's nothing extreme about this. Now you may say like, oh, the protein looks kind of low. Not really. Because if you're a woman and your BMR is like 1600, then you shouldn't really be eating below 1600 anyway. But generally speaking, for your protein intake should be around 10 to 16% of your macros. It doesn't really need to be more than that. Especially if you're trying to drive down inflammation and keep it low. Right? Because high protein can be pretty inflammatory. Just because it's going to be a lot more acid. So it's going to, more protein leads to more uric acid and more ammonia, to name a couple things that increase in your body, right? And those acids can build up inside your cells. They can contribute to joint pain, things like this. So if you got like bad knees, lower back pain, this kind of thing, you don't want to go crazy with the protein. If you're experiencing a lot of joint pain, all right? So generally speaking, 1 gram of protein per kilogram of lean mass. It's really all you need. So you take so basically, if you do a little math, matter of fact, I should have a calculator on my screen here. So let's say your lean mass. Matter of fact, let's do this. I want to hear from y'all in the chat. I want to hear from y'all in the chat. All right? Somebody tell me, what is your total body weight and what do you think your body fat percentage is? Oh, John, you're muted in the Discord chat, so I can't hear you. So you got to unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
Unless, hold on, so maybe I got to unmute. So let's see.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Or maybe it's just on my end where I can't hear you. So let's see. Let me see if I can fix it on my end. But yeah, so in the chat, put your... Because I should actually be able to hear you in the voice chat, unless you're muted, because it looks like you're muted right now, so you'd have to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's on my end. I can't hear you, so I'm gonna have to adjust something.
Okay.
I just gotta figure out what to adjust. All right, so the output would have to be chat. All right, now I should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. There we go. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
What's going on, brother?
Oh man, nothing. Quick question. So when you were talking about the sprouts, I noticed on Chronometer the calorie difference between, let's say, sprouted beans versus boiled beans is significantly different. Like the calories for boiled black beans are like 200 and something calories for 1 cup, but if I sprout them, it's like almost no calories. You think that's a flaw inside the app, or what do you
Yeah,
think?
so basically like in Chronometer, right? They they don't really accurately calculate. I don't think the USDA has a database that factors in sprouted legumes. So they don't calculate it
Yeah,
correctly. So for example, in this here, and you can see these are starting to expand. So it happens pretty
yeah,
quick. But this is a quarter cup of lentils. So a quarter cup of lentils is like around 130 calories, measured dry. When
yeah,
you sprout them, there's still 130 calories,
yeah.
right? More or less. So a quarter cup would be like 12, 14 grams of protein. If you had a half a cup, it's like 24, it's like double that. So basically, if you're factoring it into Chronometer, you would just put it in as if it was just dry legumes, like a dry lentils or whatever legumes you're
Okay,
using,
okay. I see what you're
right?
saying.
And then try to
Okay.
use it from the try to plug it in from the USDA database.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you another thing I saw, and I'll get off my soapbox. I definitely agree with you when it comes to the protein, because I can definitely, let's say if I'm doing because I'm trying to go basically all raw, and man, if I load up too heavy on, like, let's say nuts, or even try to do like too much protein, man, I'll start feeling a little stiffness in my knees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
so that's why I say. Matter of fact, what's your weight?
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm 200 pounds. So I think when I looked last night on my body mass, and I was looking at one of your previous videos, I think it calculated to like 25% body fat or something like that. So I was trying to figure
Okay.
out where to get down to in weight.
Gotcha. Okay. So if we do 200 pounds and we subtract 25% from that number, then more or less your lean mass is like around 150 pounds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if we divide
And then
that
I
by
think you said divide that
2.2,
by 2.2, right? Yep.
right? So basically your lean mass is 68 kilos.
Yeah,
Okay. So 68 kilos of protein generally is enough as far as a target for you.
for, for sure.
All
And like
right.
hemp seeds, 1 cup of hemp seeds inside your smoothie, I think will just basically cover that.
Right, exactly. So basically, if we go into this meal plan that I had prepped out here, there's already 1,751 calories and 43 grams of protein. I didn't add any protein shakes, no protein powders. I didn't add any of that. It's just all whole
For sure.
food so far that I just added. So basically, moral of the story. And so when I say when you calculate your protein intake according to your lean mass, it's a massive game changer. Because what happens is people will calculate their protein intake according to their weight in pounds.
And you know what I noticed when I did that, before this journey, I would actually gain a lot of stomach weight. And I'll get bloated feeling too. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're just trying to knock back protein shakes and say, hey, I need a 1.1 pound, 1 gram for every pound. Dude, I started putting on weight.
Right, yeah. Oh, interestingly enough, so basically this is the thing that I kind of want to make a quick video on. So the interesting thing about like your muscle cells and your fat cells is you can shrink your muscle cells and you can shrink your fat cells. You can grow and expand your muscle cells and you can grow and expand your fat cells. But you can't really get rid of them, right? Or at least not to any significant degree. So whatever muscle or fat cells you have now, you'll just have them. So what you can do is you can increase the size of them. The way that you increase the size of them is just by taking in more resources, mainly in the form of like carbs, fats, proteins, etc. Right? And basically this is just taking in carbon resources into your body and your cells absorb that. Right? The interesting thing about protein, specifically, when people talk about protein, they're mainly talking about your branched chain amino acids like valine, leucine, and isoleucine. There's a thing called lipogenesis. Lipogenesis is the formation of new fat cells, right? Or just new fat in general. Protein contributes to the formation of new fat. So a lot of times what happens is people will struggle to lose weight because their protein is too high in their diet. And then when they cut out the excess protein, then the weight starts coming back off. Because when you optimize for protein intake and you start doing like protein smoothies and shakes and things like this, or trying to get in more protein, you start gaining body fat, or at the very least, you just can't lose weight. It's because of that lipogenesis. So now you get increased lipogenesis, and then you're putting carbs on top of that, and you're getting the insulin. So you get these insulin spikes accompanied with the increase in lipogenesis. And that's what can make you gain weight. So with a raw diet, it makes it harder for you to overeat protein. So by proxy, it forces you to adjust your protein intake. So your diet is just mostly carbs and fats with a moderate amount of protein. And your protein intake is should be like around 10%, 16 at the most. Right? And so when you moderate that protein intake, you just have to bring that down. Your joints feel better, your mobility kind of improves, you get less brain fog, it's easier to get leaner and drop body fat and this kind of thing. Right? So like the interesting thing between so for example, my lean mass, for me currently, my lean mass is like 140 something pounds. Right? I'm 5'9". Right? So with you, there's not really much of a need to increase the amount of protein because it's just going to make it harder for you to drop the body fat, and that'll keep you at that 25% mark. So when you moderate your protein intake and you structure your diet, then that's when basically you'll get closer to your lean mass. Because there's not really much of a point in being 200 pounds and your lean mass is 150. It makes more sense to focus on increasing your lean mass through training, good sleep quality, and a balanced diet. So then you can lean out and drop down to like 180, which 180 is a really good weight for somebody who's 6 foot, right?
That's actually what I'm honestly trying to get to. Is go down to 180 and just be shredded.
Okay.
Because I fell into the protein trap and I started to notice that I was like, man, you know what? I feel like I'm actually gaining weight but not even so much weight, excess fat in the wrong area.
Yeah. Like in the midsection and whatnot.
For sure. Yeah. I thought, what was my arms getting bigger? Yes, but it was more of a, how do I explain it? Like look at your physique, right? We can clearly tell, okay, this guy has not too much fat on his body, and what you do have is a lot of muscle. And so it was more or less like a bloated, like, hey, I look bloated, swole up, but it's like, okay, when you take your shirt off, that midsection is kind of pumping out. And I'm like, well, man, I think the protein is doing the actual opposite of what I was expecting it to do. But again, I was trying to pump in 200 grams of protein a day too.
Bad idea.
Yeah, sure. Sure. But then when you started talking about it, I was like, oh man, you know what? This actually makes sense what you're saying.
Now check this out, because I'm going to get into this too. I'm going to go back into Chronometer here right quick and kind of just demonstrate a little bit further what I'm talking about. So with your diet, and let me go ahead and pivot to, I didn't mean to minimize the page. All right. So boom, right? So we're back here, 1751. And I know for me, I should be eating like at least like around 2,600 calories a day, right? If I'm trying to like be at my best. I'm not talking about, this is aside from like fasting. When you start throwing in fasting, the rules are a bit different. Right? I'm just talking about like if you're eating consistently on a daily basis, right, on a raw diet, right? So 1751. Generally speaking, I try to get like around 300 grams of carbs a day, right? I tend to get like around 4, sometimes 500. But it depends, because if my diet is more fully raw, well, now it's different, because now I'm going to be getting more dietary fats in, right? So on a fully raw diet, your fats are a bit different. The reason why is because your fat sources on a raw diet don't make you more insulin resistant, and they don't cause you to gain more body fat. The reason why is because they're largely polyunsaturated fats, right? The only time this changes is when you're adding in oils. So if you're using like all kind of salad dressings and you're adding in oil, like olive oil and avocado oil and safflower oil, sunflower oil, or these different types of oils, that's a different story. And the reason why is because now the oil is just straight fat, but it's not being accompanied by the things that protect your mitochondrial function and increase insulin sensitivity and increase lipolysis and inhibit lipogenesis. So your fats should be accompanied with things like B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, right? You should be getting like an abundance of folate, for example, thiamine, things like this, right? So they all show your dietary fats should be accompanied with things like manganese, magnesium, zinc, iron, copper, right? So let's go into a fourth meal here. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. So let's say we go into a fourth meal. Now I'm gonna add an avocado. So we're gonna do a whole avocado. Dry roasted cashews. I'm gonna add in like 2 tablespoons. I mean, not 2 tablespoons, 2 ounces. I'm gonna add in kale. I'm gonna do about 6 ounces of kale. Now let's add in, let's say, some cucumber. All right, keep it fresh. And with the cucumber, we're adding like 4 ounces of cucumber. All right. So this meal is now 17 grams of protein. Now this meal basically brought the protein intake of this meal up to 60 grams of protein. Right? So we just established like your lean mass being around 60 something kilograms. So this already pretty much is hitting that. So we're at 628 calories, but now if we isolate this here, 628 calories, (41 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat, 17 grams of protein. Look at the macros, right? What I was talking about, vitamin C, B1, B2, right? Then we got B5, B6. These are pretty elevated here. Look at the folate, 68% folate in this meal. There ain't really that much carbs in this meal, but look at the folate, right? Riboflavin, right? That vitamin B2, look at that, 72%. So even here, the cool thing about Chronometer is that if you go here, it gives you like brief descriptions of what the vitamins and minerals do. So if you hover over B2, right, riboflavin helps your body use the energy you get from the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, right? So basically it's important for just the converting your food into usable energy. Right? Riboflavin also plays a role in defending your cells from free radicals, right? Free radicals are made when your cells use oxygen and can cause damage if left unchecked. What they're referring to when they talk about free radicals and using oxygen, they're talking about acid formation, right? Because when your body uses oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is acidic and it has to be released from your body, right? So With your fats take a lot more oxygen to break down and metabolize. Fats are the least thermogenic. Therefore, you need to use more oxygen in order to create the thermogenesis needed to break down that fat. So this leads to more acid formation. So you may say, oh, that's why you advocate for a high carb diet. Yes, that's largely why. However, with raw foods, it's different. Because again, if we go to the B2, look at that 72%. And what does the B2 do? It reduces the inflammation and the damage that your healthy cells get when exposed to free radicals, which increase in population as your body uses more oxygen. There's a counterbalance, right? So B1, B2, all of these things that are really high, B5, B6, folate, all of these B vitamins help to use the resources from your food to use for energy, and they also protect your cells. Then look at this, the vitamin C, 193%. Look at the vitamin K, 615%. What does Chronometer say about vitamin K? Vitamin K is needed for blood clotting and building bones. Vitamin K can be made by the bacteria in your intestines. What's that called? Because I've talked about this on streams previously. They're postbiotics. That's what vitamin K is, right? Contributes to some of your daily needs, right? Chronometer's data sources are reported by phylliquinone, aka vitamin K1. When entering labels, we combine K1, K2, K3, and enters as vitamin K. Oh, they're just talking about the split, right? Also known as the different vitamin Ks, or like MK4, MK7, etc., right? Which is what they convert into in your body. What they don't include in that description is vitamin K also helps to strengthen your immune system and your gut health. Vitamin K helps to build up your bone marrow. So as you increase your bone's infrastructure and your bone marrow, your body's ability to store minerals and vital nutrients also increases. So your body gets better at storing vital nutrients inside your bone marrow. So things like iron, copper, magnesium, etc. get stored inside your bone marrow, and that helps to keep your bones strong, right? So look at this, copper, 184%. Copper inhibits that lipogenesis, right? It increases lipolysis, the metabolism of fat. So these foods, this is why the micronutrient content of the meals are so important, right? So that's why I focus on that, right? So basically in total here now, we're up to 2,379 calories in these 4 meals. So this is 92% of all nutrient targets hit here. All right, so look at all of them green bars. Look at the beautiful green ball. All right? So this is what I mean about food choice. It's not just about macros, it's also about micros, which are equally important because the micros dictate how your body uses the macros in your diet. Right? All right, so Mark, you said your weight is 160 pounds, you're 15% body fat. So if we go back to my calculator, and we do that 160, and we could do 160 divided by 2.2, and that gives us 72.7 kilos, right? So we can actually round that up to 73 kilos. And then basically we subtract that 15% in body fat, and we get 62 kilos, all right? So lean mass, 62 kilos. So you pretty much want to eat around 62. So I think like in between 60, 65, or 65 to 70 kilos of protein, 65 to 70 grams of protein a day is enough. 60 is also fine too, right? Because water is not factored into fat mass, it's factored into lean mass, right? So it acts as a little bit of a buffer. right? So Sheila, you said 165 pounds. What do you think your body fat percentage is? Give me like a range of what your body fat percentage is. Because your body fat percentage is going to really skew the number depending on how significant your body fat percentage is. Because if you're 165 pounds, we divide that by 2.2, that's 75 kilos. So your average woman is around like 20 to 25% body fat. If she's in her 20s, maybe like early 30s, and she's in like good health and fairly lean, her body fat would be like in between, would be like around 20%. If she's athletic, it could be like 18, 20%. If she's got a little weight to lose, she's got a little bit of a PUFA, or FUPA, I should say, a little gut going on, a little extra body fat, something like this, she could be like around 25%. A woman who's really overweight typically is like around 30, 35, maybe even 40%, right? Let's see. All right, Catherine, what's going on? Metaphysical wellness. All right, that's some interesting stuff. Do you help coach competitive female bodybuilders? Raw vegan competitor here in oh, nice. Been following you for a year now. I'm competitive again this year. I absolutely do. I want to work with more people who are competitive. Absolutely. Like competitive bodybuilders are like the easiest people to coach, actually. Their diet, because you already have the discipline. You just need the plan to put in place, right? So a stream like this is right up the alley for you. So yeah, so basically we got that 23 to 79%, 2379 in the diet plan here. So let's say now, because the rules change the rules can be pretty circumstantial and change depending on what your training looks like. So if you have a higher volume training plan, well, basically higher training volume means more inflammation. So if you're going through more inflammation, you need to be able to have a counterbalance to bring down the stress of all the inflammation that you get from your training. Now, me personally, I more so prefer a high intensity, low volume training, where you could be training anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. What tends to happen to with people in the pursuit of building muscle is they train too much and they're not recovering enough, right? So you have a couple options. You can front load your training volume, where you can do like 4 weeks training like 5-6 days a week. After the 4 weeks are up, you deload and you drop your training volume by like a good 80%, right? Or just leave the gym. You don't even really train in the gym. You don't touch weights or anything like that at all for like a week. So you take like a week or even 2 weeks off. So you could do 4 weeks on and like a week to 2 weeks off. And when people have done this, I told them to do this. And when they do this, they're like, oh shoot, I'm like literally growing muscle, not training. Right? So they're like, I'm like growing, because they felt like, oh, I feel run down, tired, fatigued, I'm sore, my joints hurt, and I feel like my muscles are flat and I don't have the motivation to train anymore. And I'm like, take a week off, take 2 weeks off, or train once or twice a week, right? Because you only build muscle in recovery. So basically, when it comes to growing larger muscles or growing more infrastructure in your body, training requires the expenditure of a lot of resources. If you're constantly training, this inhibits your body's ability to grow because you don't have enough of a surplus for your body to store and pack in resources to create larger cells. You're just burning through too much of your resources. And then there's a hierarchy of recovery. So skeletal muscle tissue recovers the quickest. Your nervous system takes the longest to recover. So when you're lifting heavy, you're doing a lot of volume training and all of this type of stuff, you could be building up the skeletal muscle, but you're tearing down your joints and you're burning out your nervous system. And the more fatigued your nervous system gets, you lose motivation. Your desire to train diminishes. So when people are like, oh, I was training real good and consistent, I was hitting it hard, and then I just fell off. I don't know. I just, I started skipping training days, and I started waking up later and all this type of stuff, right? You're training too much. You're burning your nervous system out. That's one of the biggest flaws that people make. It's one of the biggest things. And you'll have people who are like really disciplined, who train even when they don't feel like training. And you can have like weeks where you don't feel like training, but you keep training. You're slogging. And you can have months where you're just training. You're not even getting good muscle pumps, good muscular contractions. You don't feel well during training, but you want to be disciplined, so you keep training. And that's like the worst thing, because you're not listening to your body. So you actually just tear down your body. And then you start having like hormonal imbalances, restlessness in your sleep, heart palpitations, all kind of nutty stuff. You don't need to train that much when it comes to building muscle. You don't have to do that much. Most people don't have to. Right? Recovery is the most important aspect when it comes to actually building muscle. It's not really the work you do is important, but the work you do is meaningless if you're not recovering from it. Right? All right. Yay, we'll contact privately. Thank you. For sure. Absolutely. Let's see. I am 6'4", weigh 180 pounds. I want to gain weight. Oh, see, that's pretty easy. It's a lot easier to gain weight. Let me see here. And go back to the diet plan. Bam. All right. So out of everything in this plan here, I got one more thing to add. Because look at this. If we scroll down, look what's missing. The B12. 0%. Now, B12 you can get from plant-based milk, you can get it from a supplement, or you can get it from nutritional yeast. So let's add nutritional yeast to the salad. All right. So we do a couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast, quick 40 calories. Right? And boom. So this final meal here, 668 calories, 22 grams of protein, 44 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat. So protein is now 65 grams of protein, 342 grams of carbs, and 112 grams of fat. It's a lot of fat. But even though it's a lot of fat, look at the vitamin B1, look at the thiamine, 719%. Right? What does the thiamine do? It helps to make energy for your body and is needed for nervous system function. Thiamine is needed for growth, appetite, and digestion. So that B2, like we covered earlier, look at that. B2, 627%. Thiamine, 356%. Right? B6, 787%. Right? B12, 625%. Folate, 286%. Vitamin C, 1,239%. Vitamin K, 808%. Copper, 512%. You see how energy rich, how powerful this is? Look at the zinc, 13 milligrams, 126%. And then we got the lysine here. So what do we do about that lysine? Well, let's do this. We're gonna do Roma tomato. So we do chopped Roma tomato. And let's say we do 6 ounces of Roma tomato. Uh-oh, it's not, I don't think it's calculating the nutrients in the tomato right. Oh yeah, it's not. It's missing stuff. I gotta find something accurate. Uh-oh, where's the does USDA not have a Roma tomato? Yeah, they don't. Interesting. Because that tomato should make up the difference on that lysine. I'm kind of curious with the cherry and grape Roma tomatoes. Because for me, my protein is supposed to be a little bit, not too much. This is 67 grams of protein here. So yeah, so basically we got the tomatoes, 6 ounces. You could also use tomato sauce, right? You can make your own tomato sauce or whatever the case is, right? I'm still under, right? Because if I burn 25, I'm probably end up gonna burn like 2,800 calories today, actually. Because I've already burned, let's see, for the day today, yeah, 1422. I'm gonna go on for my walk. That's gonna be another 700 calories burned or so. So 2449 is not. I could do a little bit better. But I don't need to do a whole lot better. So this is what we're gonna do. Sprouted lentils. This is a great example to showcase this. So I'm gonna do green lentils. They don't have, I'm gonna just type in lentils. Let's see what pops up. Pink or red. Lentil sprouts raw. Did they get this right? Let's see if they got it right. Oh, that's a cup whole pieces. That's not quite right. So let's see if we can do. Because it should be like around 6 ounces of sprouted lentils. And it's like a quarter cup. So then that gives me 82 grams of protein, 2,630 calories. That's more like it. And now check it out. Lysine, 138%. Boom, right, with the sprouted lentil. Lysine. Lysine is an essential amino acid used to build protein that you must get from your diet. All right. So yeah, Chronometer, very good resource. So that is the importance of sprouting something like this. Okay, it's not the only way to do it, but that's one. You can add in overnight oats. You can do like you can add in let's say flax seeds. You could do a hemp chia pudding kind of thing. You could do that also. There's a lot of different ways to construct like a raw fruitarian style diet. This is just one. Yeah, I used to use MyFitnessPal and then I upgraded to this one. This is Chronometer or Chronometer. CRONO meter.com.
Coach, which lentil did you pick on Chronometer?
The one I picked was lentil sprouted raw. That's what it comes listed as in the database.
Okay, sprout raw. Okay, and then so 1 cup is 82 calories.
I did 6 ounces. Now the cool thing that you can do, huh?
It's saying, I guess the serving size is ounce 28 grams. Oh, okay, 6 ounces. Okay, with the grams. Okay. Then so that came out to be 180 calories. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, like a quarter cup measured dry is around that. It's like 100. Actually, no, it's like 130 calories or something. So it's a little less. 140, something like that, around there. In between like 12, like a quarter cup really measured dry is like 12 grams of protein. So 6 ounces is a little bit more, but I do everything by weight. This is why I love this food scale, or just any kind of food scale. The cool thing that you can do with the sprouted lentils is you can season them and eat them like a snack, similar to like what we do with like potato chips or something like that. So you can put like sea salt, nutritional yeast, chili powder. You can add a little brown sugar, right? That kind of thing. And you could just put them in a mixing bowl, put the lid on and shake it up and get the seasonings in. Because you can just sprout lentils. Like, I don't have to cook them or do anything. I just leave them in here, wait like 24 hours or so until I see the little sprouts, and then drain them out and just let them drip dry and have them sprout over like the next few days. And they're edible. And you could just chew them, no problem, because they're not going to be hard after you sprout them. But yeah, basically, if you see here, my grocery haul, I got multiple pineapples because I make pineapple juice, right? So I'll be cutting up these pineapples and they become ripe over time. So I get like multiple ones and they ripen at different rates. I'm on the lookout for fruit flies. I have some contraptions set up for that. And then I got avocados all over the place. So I got all kind of avocados. And sometimes I just like to eat like avocado by the spoon. Now, the cool thing is, hold on. I kind of run out of room a little bit sometimes. We got like a toaster, never use it. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so basically also with alternate day fasting, if you really want to cut body fat, alternate day fasting. It's a pretty straightforward, clear-cut way to drop body fat consistently, right? And then the cool thing is that like if you do like a fully raw fruitarian style diet combined with alternate day fasting, you can increase your dietary fats a bit more. Excuse me. Typically what I like to do is have all of my carbohydrates mostly in the early portion of the day. And then as the day goes on, I have less glycemic foods. And then I'll just have like my avocado, nuts and seeds, leafy greens, and that type of thing at the end of the day. Right? Also, for the raw vegan bodybuilding crowd, a juicer is extremely beneficial. Let me say it's like a good pre-workout juice is a whole pineapple, or even just like a half a pineapple, basically 16 ounces of pineapple juice. And then you can add taurine, like a scoop of taurine, like 2 grams of taurine. And then you can add in like 3, even like upwards of like 9 grams of citrulline malate in the juice. Shake it up, and drink it down. It'll be a real tangy kick in the mouth. It tastes so good. Just straight pineapple and then go train. I'm telling you, if you want a really good, like strong pump, and you want to have like a drink that is like a non-stimulant pre-workout, like meaning it's not caffeinated, that's a sure bet. Nice. Valentino, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Have you heard of semen retention? Are you practicing this? I'm not really practicing semen retention, but I guess by default, to a degree I am, right? It's not a deliberate practice. It's just a thing that kind of just incidentally happens as to just not busting nuts, right? Until I do, but it's beneficial, but not in the way that people think. So it can improve dopamine sensitivity, like the practice of semen retention. But basically, it does it in the same way that fasting improves things in your life, right? Because it increases your dopamine sensitivity. So, for example, it's kind of different because like say you're in a loving relationship, you're having sex with your partner. That's a different thing than just like you have a porn addiction and you're always masturbating. It's different, right? So for example, practicing like semen retention when you have like a strong intimate relationship with your partner, it may not really be that beneficial. I don't think it would be that beneficial in the way that it would be if you were practicing semen retention because you're abstaining from porn. Right? I think the abstaining from porn would be much more beneficial for you as far as improving dopamine sensitivity. So if you want to get locked in and like really focused in your life, like you want to have higher levels of motivation, concentration, mental alertness, creative energy, and all this type of stuff, then yeah, sure, the practice of like semen retention and like abstaining from the stimulus of that in the first place would definitely significantly improve your life. You can practice semen retention with your sexual partner. It'll make you more aggressive over time, which could be, it depends. Like for guys, that could be something that would be a benefit to your sex life as far as your partner is concerned. But that's because it changes your behavior primarily. Because you get more, when I say aggressive, I don't mean violent, right? I mean like your focus towards pleasuring her becomes the primary focus rather than you pleasuring yourself. Because if you're trying to avoid a semen release, well, then you're going to slow down. You're going to do things a little differently. Your attention is going to be placed more on getting her off as opposed to getting you off because you're trying to avoid getting you off. So that can be, and so you'll have a little bit more energy and a little bit more focus on her. And with that, incidentally, comes a higher level of sexual aggressiveness, of course, in a healthy way. Right? I don't mean like, aggressive as in you're gonna start swinging on her. That's not what I'm talking about, right? So it's things like that. So I have like a bit more of a nuanced view of it, right? I could be wrong. It's not like a thing I've studied real deeply, right? I'm not citing like peer-reviewed research that I'm getting my opinions from. This is more so of a thing of like a mix of my personal experiences as well as, guys that I've coached and things that I've read as far as scientific studies, not necessarily on semen retention, but how like, certain aspects of sex change your behavior in abstaining versus engaging and how frequently the stimulation comes and all that type of stuff. Okay, so, oh my God, that is almost my pre-workout, an intro workout. I also add creatine with Celtic sea salt. That's a good one too, yeah. Oh yeah, drinking the juice during the workout? Oh yeah, for sure. It's like, there was this bodybuilding supplement. This is pretty old school, at least for me. It's called Dark Matter. And essentially, it's like it's a peri-workout, but it could also be a post-workout. It's basically like dextrose or like maltodextrin. It's just carbs in like a liquid gelatinous form. You put it in water, it's like a powder, you put it in water and you shake it up and you drink, it's like drinking carbs. It's kind of the same thing, right? It works, but yeah, because you're keeping the muscle glycogen stores full and you get some real strong muscular contractions. You get some wild pumps. You say, yes, exactly. A big difference in the way how you can have the orgasm. And of course, it ruins your life in many ways. It depends. I mean, look, the sex is not as nearly as important as who you're engaging in it with. All right. And just like you say, the attention during intercourse is more on the act rather. Yeah, exactly. It's not a thing you get, it's not a thing you receive necessarily. It's an experience that you share with another person. Right? So that's a good way to view it. How do you feel about jumping rope in between sets of calisthenics to lose fat? It will help you to lose weight, yeah. Now, it depends. Like if you're doing calisthenics, are you doing muscle ups? Are you doing handstand push-ups or something like this, combined with the jump rope? Or are you doing like, it depends on the exercise selection. It depends on what your goal is. So I always say the king of fat loss as far as exercise is concerned is walking, right? Your actual resistance training, it should do 2, maybe 3 things. Number 1, create a stimulus that triggers muscle growth. Number 2, train your nervous system to engage in specific movement patterns and to be able to train your nervous system to produce more force. So gaining more strength. And also improving your movement capability, how well you move throughout space. Right? So movement efficiency, force production, muscle growth. Those are the 3 things that your resistance training, whether it be calisthenics, resistance bands, barbell, whatever the case is, those are the 3 things that your training should be improving. Cardio is more of a metabolic stressor. So it's supposed to improve things like your VO2 max, your body's ability to be able to efficiently use oxygen for energy and then release carbon dioxide effectively, right? And then also cardio is supposed to help strengthen your mitochondria inside your cells. Your mitochondria is basically your energy producing centers of your cells, the energy producing organelles of your cell, so that your cells are more effectively able to take glucose and fat and generate ATP and release, toxins and waste products and all of this type of stuff, right? So improving your cellular metabolic functions and respiration, right? Strengthening your mitochondria. It's also something cardio should do, right? Cardio is not necessarily for fat loss. Fat loss is more of it incidentally happens because of cardio, but it's not really a goal behind cardio, right? So the way that I like to frame fat metabolism or weight loss is you improve your body and its functionality in such a well-rounded way that you get to your ideal body fat percentage, right? Because getting to your ideal body fat percentage is a result of you improving your body enough to get there, right? So you improve your cellular respiration, your mitochondrial health, your movement efficiency, strength and force production. You grow skeletal muscle mass. You increase your VO2 max, and then you're really good at stress management, meaning you bring your stress and inflammation levels down to a very manageable level in your body, and you're keeping it there. And you do that over a prolonged period of time. And as you escalate, you get better. Your body fat decreases. Right? It's very difficult to maintain the same amount of body fat while improving all of these things together, right? If there's a trade-off. Right? So anything in the body, as another thing in your body grows, something else necessarily decreases. So as muscle mass grows, as your nervous system improves, as your cellular functionality improves, body fat diminishes. Right? This is typically like how it happens, is how people get in shape generally. All right, Valentino also says, I want to testify, jumping just 2 months ago, coming from keto, feeling down in the dumps, finding your channel and going high raw, feeling like a new person. Always was convinced vegans are crazy. I appreciate that. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I get that a lot too. Like you have a lot of guys who will come to me from like keto and carnivore and all of that, and then be like, man, I made the switch and I feel amazing now. So yeah, that happens quite often. Drop the fear of fruit and not eating animal products. Now feeling like a boss, being hard, being hard almost the whole night, waking up with wood I can't get down and energy to conquer the day. There you go. You end up being a side sleeper like me. Welcome. You'd be up tucking and side sleeping. Welcome to the up tucking and side sleeping crew. Welcome. I like your website on there. What on there to gain weight? Yeah, so basically, gaining weight is actually pretty simple. You got to do two things: have a positive energy balance and a good sleep schedule. Typically, people struggle to lose weight because they're not well fed and they're not well rested. Those are like the two biggest issues. And also, if you're trying to gain weight, if you're doing a lot of training, you're just doing a lot of exercise, you're gonna wear yourself out and makes it harder to gain weight. Right? So basically, if you're trying to gain weight, as far as resistance training is concerned, you really only need to do is like train 2-3 times a week. Right? So you could do like a collective 60 to 90 minutes of resistance training a week. Also, a fruitarian diet is really good actually for building. I've had a lot of guys successfully be able to gain weight on a fruitarian diet. You just got to structure it. You just got to have structure, good sleep quality, and consistency. So, I think that's everything I want to touch on today. I got to finish my food, my fruit bowl. I got to prep one of them pineapples and get some work done today. And actually, but I got to get some sun. I got to get out here and get these miles in. And I almost have a half of mine to, cause there's this new trail that I found out in the woods that I want to go to. I was there yesterday, phenomenal trail. So I'm stoked to go back there. And I may start doing some early morning live streams out on the trail there. Beautiful place, oh my God. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And having said that, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. All right. If you need help, book a call with me. Hit the link in the description. You can also join my 12-week mentorship through that link as well. Get direct personal coaching, one-on-one calls, weekly calls, that type of thing. Personalized training and diet and all that good stuff. So having said that, I'm logging off, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.